So, World War II divided Korea into a communist northern half and an American occupied southern half, divided at the 38th parallel. The Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, began when the North Korean Communist Army crossed the 38th parallel and invaded non-communist South Korea. Kim Il-sung, who was North Korea's leader, his army, who was armed with Soviet tanks, quickly overran South Korea. The United States came to South Korea's aid. General Douglas MacArthur, who had been overseeing the after World War II occupation of Japan, was the commander of the U.S. forces, which now began to hold off the North Koreans at Pusan, the southernmost tip of Korea. Although Korea was not strategically essential to the United States, the political environment at this stage of the Cold War was such that policymakers did not want to appear soft on communism. Nominally, the U.S. intervened as part of a police action run by a United Nations International Peacekeeping Force. In reality, the United Nations was simply being manipulated by the U.S. and NATO anti-communist interest. So, with the U.S. and the United Nations and the South Korean forces, when they were backed up against the sea at the city of Pusan, MacArthur had an daring amphibious assault on Incheon, which was western coast of Korea, like further north. And when he made this landing, he crushed the North Korean army in a pincer movement, which is like where you close them in and encircle them. And he recaptured Seoul, the capital of South Korea. Instead of being satisfied with his rapid reconquest of South Korea, MacArthur crossed the 38th parallel and pursued the North Korean army all the way to the northernmost provinces of North Korea. Afraid the U.S. was interested in taking North Korea as a base for operations against Manchuria, which was a part of China, the People's Republic of China secretly sent an army across the Yalu River. This Chinese army attacked the United States, United Nations, and Republic of Korea forces. Only after the appointment of Lieutenant General Matthew Ridgway as commander of ground forces did American morale improve, and the initiative began to swing against the Chinese communists. So President Truman hoped to end the war quickly, so he pressed MacArthur to be more tactful. But the brilliant strategist went against presidential orders and continued spouting incendiary lines about his hopes to reunify Korea. After gaining the support of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Truman relieved MacArthur of command. The move was extremely unpopular in America. MacArthur was perceived as a popular war hero. Only the support of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saved Truman from impeachment after the firing. So Ridgway, who was a new general, took MacArthur's commands, and he held off the communists with strong fortifications and entrenchments just north of the 38th parallel, sending occasional offenses against the Iron Triangle, which instead of being the Iron Curtain in Europe, was Korea, China, and the Soviet Union, which they perceived as a triangle. The communist staging area for attacks into North Korea. Peace negotiations dragged on in Kaesong, and then moved and continued, and they just kept going and kept going. The U.S. tried using strategic bombing to intimidate the communists into negotiating a peace treaty, but they wouldn't budge, particularly on the issue of prisoner of war repatriation. Neither side wanted to appear weak, so the talks went on, occasionally breaking down for months. Only after Eisenhower, who was a war hero and was unafraid of Republican criticism, since he himself was a Republican, became president, could the U.S. make substantial concessions to the communists. In 1953, a peace treaty was signed at Panmunjom, the end of the Korean War, returning Korea to a divided status, essentially the same as before the war. Neither the war nor its outcome did much to lessen the era's Cold War tension. This war is often remembered as the Forgotten War because it really didn't accomplish anything. It really didn't. We still don't have a peace treaty with North Korea, and North Korea and South Korea can't agree on anything, and it's not pretty. So we should remember the Korean War because of the sacrifices that our veterans made, and hope that we can eventually gain peace with North Korea, and hope that they will not intentionally hurt other countries. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. Please leave a comment, and please consider subscribing. And thank you so much for watching this. Bye.